Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyanam Jana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priyem Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namashrishtam Manumapi Sachiputram Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Arupurim Madurim Goshtavatim Radhakunda Girivarama Horadika Madhavasham Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Yantah Pravishya Mama Vachim Imam Prasuptam Sanjivayata Kila Shakti Darak Svadham Nanyamscha Hasta Charana Shravanat Vagadim Pranannamo Bhagavate Purushaya Tubhyam Svasyastu Vishwasya Kalah Prasidatam Dayantu Bhutani Shivam Mithodya Manascha Badram Bhajata Tadoksaje Aveshyatam No Matir Apyahaitu Ki Hare Krishna. I am extremely humbled to speak in front of all of you, especially in front of so many disciples of Srila Prabhupada, in front of Patri Prabhu, who can inspire even a stone. In front of Mother Urmila, who has been researching for this seminar for 5 years before coming here. And here I am, some upstart who is trying to speak about Lord Chaitanya's mercy. My only hope is your kindness, your blessings and well wishes, and of course Lord Chaitanya's mercy is also my hope. And I want to say that I very much depend on your enthusiasm. Like while chanting this Mangala Charana, I didn't feel so much enthusiasm. So please support my feeble attempts to say something by visibly manifesting your enthusiasm. Because I'm not like Patri, I cannot really infuse enthusiasm myself. So I depend on your goodwill. And I also must admit that it feels very awkward to speak in English in front of people who, majority of whom mostly speak Russian. But nevertheless, I will try. And like Patri said, in Rome, do what Romans do. So in America, you should speak English. So that's the rationale behind it. Anyway, so I'll try to reproduce a seminar which I gave a few years back in Russian. This seminar is called Sri Nama, the Special Gift of Lord Chaitanya. And in this seminar I'll explain what is so special about the Nam which is given by Lord Chaitanya. Because the glory of the holy name is everywhere in Vedic literature, starting with Rig Veda. Practically every saint in India is speaking about the power of the holy name, is speaking about the mercy of the holy name. Every scripture mentions about the holy name, and there are so many different procedures, methods, processes of how to chant the holy name. Everywhere. All the great acharyas were teaching the glories of the holy name. And nevertheless, we, not only as the followers of Lord Chaitanya, but even as an impartial observers, can see that there is something special about the holy name given by Lord Chaitanya. So the topic of my presentation, I don't know how successful it will be, but at least I will sincerely try, will be to attempt to explain the dimensions of the holy name, which are only given by Lord Chaitanya, which nobody else gave. The specialty of the holy name received from him. Like just a couple of days back, I received a letter from some aspiring disciple, and he asked my permission and my blessings to get initiation from some good friend of mine, a yogi, living in Vrindavan. And he writes to me, I met this sadhu, this yogi, and I feel the transcendental ecstasy. Could you please give me the permission to take initiation from him? And this request puzzled me and actually revealed the very important lack in the education which devotees get, because even though they are all sincere seekers, they want to have some genuine, special spiritual experience, but they don't really understand the differences in the spiritual experiences. I know very well this particular person whom he wants to take initiation from. He's a very kind-hearted person. He's a beautiful sadhu. But still, he's not a follower of Lord Chaitanya. And of course, not every follower of Lord Chaitanya is true to this name, to this title. But nevertheless, being the followers of Lord Chaitanya is a special, very special privilege. And we should not be so, how to say this, we should not be so so neglectful or so I don't know, inattentive to lose this chance, rare chance to obtain something which Lord Chaitanya gave. Ecstasy we can give, we can get, no problem. Even if you go to the discotheque, you probably can feel some sort of ecstasy for some time. But really we have to first theoretically understand what is the ecstasy Lord Chaitanya came to give. And then practically start experiencing it and really understand that nowhere else we can get the same. So that's the simple point which I would like to deliberate and to speak about, and to maybe ignite some sort of deliberation or vichar or thinking in us. And even though Lord Chaitanya is giving this gift freely, not everyone is capable of getting it. Prabodhananda Saraswati, in one of his beautiful prayers to Lord Chaitanya, says, Vanchitosmi, vanchitosmi, vanchitosmi. I am cheated, I am cheated, I am cheated. Lord Chaitanya came to give freely this wonderful gift of prema. And he splashed, he revealed the ocean of this prema in this material world. But I am cheated because not even a drop touched me. So he's saying it in his humility. Obviously, he has a lot of prema which is given to him by Lord Chaitanya. He is a descendant of this Tirumala family from which Gopal Bhatta Goswami is coming, and Lord Chaitanya personally blessed this family by his staying with them for 3 months in Sri Rangam. But he's saying this for us. I am cheated, I am cheated, I am cheated. This should be our prayer within our heart. I am cheated. Lord Chaitanya came and he is giving this, but still nothing somehow or other touched me, nothing affected me. This sincere prayer should be within our heart. This sincere regret within our hearts should always be there. And then maybe if this sincere prayer will be there, Lord Chaitanya will become truly merciful to us and give at least a drop of his mercy. So my attempt to speak on this topic, which obviously much over my head, is done with the hope that by doing this I will attract mercy of Lord Chaitanya. I will somehow or other, first of all, think about this amazing gift which Lord Chaitanya gave to us, and perhaps by thinking about this deeply I will obtain some mercy and get something, and hopefully I will also apply these things in my life. So I want first to chant with you, but please chant with me. Don't sit silently, otherwise I will just sit down and ask Patri Prabhu to to hit you with his enthusiasm over the head. I just came from New York, and it was so difficult for me to speak in New York because I'm trying to speak something and people stare at me, and I really feel that this material energy is very close. She's right there, and the covering is quite thick. So please try to somehow or other forget that she's close and participate in Lord Chaitanya's movement, no matter how difficult it is. And of course, this is also what I want to say, is that we're living in a very difficult and critical time. I don't remember time, which would be so difficult. Of course, there was Caribbean crisis. I was a little boy at that time. Probably it was as critical as it is now. But perhaps in certain aspects, the time which we are living in is even more difficult. And that's yet another reason why we should become very serious about the gift of Lord Chaitanya. Not to be cheated at the end of the day, to be really blessed. The time is critical, and God knows how much time do we have. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada says that at least Maharaja Pariksit knew for sure that he will live 7 days. None of us can be sure about this. At least he had this guarantee. We don't have even this guarantee. And with the present situation, it's really true. Somebody can push a button and that's it. That's the end. So let's try to deliberate on the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, because there is no other subject matter which is more worthy than this. So I will chant the famous bhajan of Narottam Das Thakur, Lala Samai Prarthana, the prayer for the prayer which is filled with lalasa, which is filled with desire. And Srila Prabhupada in his purport, which I will briefly tell, explains that in this prayer Narottam Das Thakur is explaining the stages of spiritual development which we all have to know very well. How going from one stage to another, we ultimately can achieve the highest possible goal. And that's another purpose of this seminar, because oftentimes, unfortunately, due to the influence of this beautiful material energy, which we have seen now, we forget about the goal. And when we forget about the goal, the sadhana which we do stops being a sadhana. It's not sadhana anymore. Because according to the dictionary definition of sadhana, which Srila Rupa Goswami gives in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava sa sadhana bhida nitya siddhasya bhavasya prakatyam hridi sadhyata. He says that sadhana abhida, abhida literally means the dictionary definition of sadhana. How a dictionary would define sadhana, he said, Kriti sadhya bhavet sadhya bhava. The activity of the senses, Kriti sadhya, becomes sadhana only when it is performed with sadhya bhava. Only when it is performed with a very clear understanding of what you want to achieve by doing this. Otherwise, the mechanical activity of our senses, Kriti sadhya, is not upgraded, is not elevated to the level of sadhana. It's just a mechanical activity, like any other activity in this material world. Of course, you know, there is a spiritual aspect in it. In any case, we chant the holy name. But still, the moment we lose this sadhya bhava, the sense that I'm doing this to achieve a very specific goal, the moment when we lose this sense, this bhav within the heart, it becomes just a tedious exercise, and sometimes even meaningless exercise. So when we sit and chant the holy name, we have to have first and foremost this sadhya bhav. This is what I'm doing. I'm doing it to achieve this, not to, you know, put a tick at the end. You know, I'm done. For today, I'm done. No problem. You know, this doesn't make any sense. You know, sadhana should not be a tick exercise. I remember once I was preaching the glories of you know, making this sadhana chart and, you know, counting all the, you know, things which you do. And I was preaching it, and I was doing it very sincerely myself, putting so many ticks there, and, you know, being very satisfied with myself. I chanted so many rounds today, and I did this today and did that today. But the result of it was a complete stress, nothing else. Nothing else. It didn't give me real result. There was some false satisfaction that yes, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but in reality, you know, the goal of what I was doing was to put the tick next to the point which I was doing. And by doing this, I was very happy and satisfied, but I cheated myself. So basically, you know, we should have this sadhya bhav, and until we achieve this very difficult and practically unachievable goal, we should not be satisfied by all means. So to encourage myself first of all, and all of you to a certain extent, I will be presenting certain points and stories, and yeah, and ideas, mostly ideas, which are there in our philosophy, in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and what Srila Prabhupada is teaching us. So that's let's chant this bhajan. Today is just introduction. I don't know how much I cover because 6 o'clock I have to finish, right? Who is in charge here? Yes. Okay. Thank you. So let's chant this bhajan. And again, I'm not a very good singer. I'm not a very good musician. I'm not a very good anyone. And even this microphone doesn't really follow my order, even though I pretend to be the Supreme Lord. Okay. Oh, see? The moment I say that I am the Supreme Lord, it's surrendered. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gauranga Bolite Habe. Somebody will play harmonium and mridanga. Mridangas are here, but no players. Okay, yes. Anyway, please help me. It's within your interest. Karatal Salsia. Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babinira Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babinira Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babinira Gauranga Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolite Na Yane Babinira Arakabe Tai Chan Corona Koribe Samsara Basa Namora Kabe Tu Chahabe Arakabe Tai Corona Hoibe Samsara Basana Mora kabe tu chahabe. Ara kabe ni tai chan Corona koribe samsara basana mora kabe tu chahabe ara kabe ni corona koribe samsara basana mora kabe tu chahabe vishaya chariya kabe sudahabe man kabe hamahe rabo Shri Vrindavan Vishaya Chariya Kabe Sudahabe Man Kabe Hamahe Rabo Shri Vrindavan Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoi Beakoti Kabe Hama Bhuja Bose Jugala Piriti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoi Beakoti Kabe Hama Bhuja Bose Jugala Piriti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoi Beakoti Kabe Hama Bhuja Bose Jugala Piriti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Kabe Hama Bhuja Bose Jugala Piriti Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahu Morasha Prarthana Koro Yesada Narottama Dasha Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahu Morash Prarthana Karo Yesada Narottama Das Prarthana Karo Yesada Narottama Das Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bol neva venira. Goranga boli te have. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolitena Yane Babenira Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sharira Hari Hari Bolitena Yane Babenira. So I'll speak a few words about this bhajan and maybe start the main topic a little bit. Narottam Das Thakur starts this bhajan with this prayer when by hearing the name of Gauranga or by pronouncing the name of Gauranga, Gauranga bolite habe pulaka sharira, the hairs on my body will stand on end. Hari Hari bolite nayane babenira. And I will start speaking Hari Hari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And the tears will stream on my cheeks and my eyes will be beautified by these streams of tears. So what he means to say is that when we understand what Lord Chaitanya came to give, when we understand that Gauranga came to give the highest possible gift of prema, and not even ordinary prema, very special prema, which was not given before. When we realize this, the specialty of Lord Chaitanya and his gifts to us, then just by saying Gauranga, we will feel, if not ecstasy, but the reflection, the abhas of ecstasy, some bhava abhas. And it very much depends on the extent in which we understand who is Lord Chaitanya. If we think that he is just a great saint, if we think that he is just an avatar, and so many avatars came, so many great saints are there, if we don't understand his really special place in the history of humanity, I mean, it sounds very, how to say this, definitely not very humble. We have few dozens of people sitting here, and I'm sitting in front of them and saying, Lord Chaitanya has a very special place in the history of humanity. It may sound exaggerated, but if we impartially, absolutely impartially, study what he came to give, we will be amazed. And just by remembering his name, we will experience some sort of abhas, some sort of bhav, some bhava abhas. Really. just intellectually understanding who is Lord Chaitanya, how special he is, how he is completely different, how and what he really gave, we will experience some shadow of an ecstasy. And then we will start chanting the holy name with the real heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because that's the point. We really have to chant the holy name wholeheartedly. When we chant the holy name half-heartedly, it's called namaparad. If we chant holy name and at the same time we think about something else, if we don't understand that this is the most important thing which is there in the universe, if we understand that the holy name is engraved within our heart already. It is explained in the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that the Lord, by creating every living entity, he based, he actually included or invested the holy name, the sound Om at least, as the basis, as the foundation of every living entity. It's already there. It's just because we are so covered by all these layers and layers and layers by material desires and everything else, the layers of Maya. We don't really recognize, and the holy name which is already there within the heart does not resonate with the holy name which we are trying to pronounce externally. But if we do it wholeheartedly, if we try to put aside all this Maya which is covering us, then the miracle happened. We will understand that the holy name is already inside us. It's already sounds there. It's already there. And this amazing effect of the holy name, that this is something which I already always knew will come to us. I have so many stories when people say that when I first heard the sound of Harinam, it sounded so familiar. When I first heard the sound of Harinam, it was in a hostel where my friend was chanting the holy name in the shower. And it sounded very awkward to me. But still, it touched me. It touched me. And when he told me just chant the holy name, I didn't believe in God. I didn't read Bhagavad Gita at that time. I didn't know anything. I didn't know who is Krishna. I didn't know who is Rama. I just believed him, and I started chanting this Hare Krishna, and I'm still chanting Hare Krishna. And I didn't have a clue what it is, but I did. But if we understand what is the specialty of the holy name given by Lord Chaitanya, then we will be able to chant the holy name with our whole heart, and it will give a very amazing results. And sometimes it happens. There is a beautiful story which I sometimes tell. We had Janmashtami in Moscow, and it was a huge celebration. Few thousand people came. And probably around 1,000 people remained till 12 o'clock for the last arati. So the last arati, 12 o'clock, the altar is opened, the arati started, and the kirtan is going on. And I'm, being in charge of this, I feel very, amazing feelings. So I'm just walking through the devotees, and so many guests are there, and I'm walking through and watching them, and amazing kirtan is going on with a lot of feelings and emotions, and everyone is chanting. And I'm like a very, happy patriarch, walking around, watching everyone, what they're doing. And all of a sudden, somebody is knocking me at the back, is patting me at the back, and I turn my head, and one young boy said, comes to me and he says, "Can you please explain what is happening to me? I'm singing this song and I'm crying all the time. Can you please explain? Something is wrong with me, or what is happening? I'm for the first time here. I never heard it. I'm just crying and crying and crying." And I said to him, "There is nothing wrong with you. Something is wrong with me because I am not crying." You know, that's exactly what Narottam Das Thakur says here. When we understand, we start crying naturally. You know, this boy is a proof because he was not programmed. He didn't know what it is. He didn't know anything. He just received this gift of Lord Chaitanya and he started crying, spontaneously crying. But then, you know, when we understand it theoretically, that's one thing. That's not enough. Because it will not stay for a long time. It will not give us, it may give us a shadow of experience, but it will not give us sustainable experience. It will not give us the experience which will always be with us and which will be lasting and which will overshadow all other experiences which we had in life. And ultimately, we're chanting the holy name for this purpose. At least initially, we're chanting the holy name to experience this amazing thing that all other experiences which we had either completely erased from our memory or at least completely weakened and not really giving us any troubles anymore. You know, the experience of the holy name must become much more profound and much more vivid than all other experiences which we had, so that all the vasanas which are there will not bother us. And that's exactly what Narottam Das Thakur says in the second stanza of this song, where he explains how this can happen. To have this experience on a permanent basis, not just temporarily for a split moment, and then you wonder whether it was just some illusion which descended upon me from some unknown plane, or was it something real? He says, to have this experience on a permanent basis, what you should do, Arakabi Nitai Chand Koruna Karibe. You should get the mercy of Nitai Chand, who is the original spiritual master. You should get the mercy of your spiritual master, who is the representative of Nitai Chand. You can only get this experience really. You can only get this real experience and be sure that this experience is real if you develop the service attitude towards your spiritual master. Unless and until this service attitude, seva vritti, within your heart is established very firmly, the experience which you may have will be just shadow, and this shadow will not be able to overshadow other experiences. That's the point. You will have some feeble experience, sometimes we may have it, but to have it for real, we really need to establish this service attitude, the humility towards the spiritual master, who is representative of God, towards the spiritual master as the representative of God in our life. Because God is too far away, we need to have somebody whom we're serving. And this somebody, his presence has to be very forceful in our life. It should not be, some faint, presence. Yes, I have my Guru Maharaj, he's sitting on my altar, I'm giving him, something to eat every day, let him be happy. This is not the point. The point of having spiritual master is having somebody whom I'm serving, whom I'm breathing for, whom I'm doing everything for, I'm doing it for him, to please him. So when this attitude is there, then the spiritual master will naturally be pleased, because he's very merciful, and he's a simple-hearted person, so he takes it seriously, whatever we tell him or try to do for him. And then samsara vasana mora kabe tucha habe. At that moment, samsara vasana, the vasanas, the very heavy impressions which we have, which actually form our personality. Vasana, there is a difference according to the yoga teachings, yoga philosophy. There is samskaras and there is vasanas. Samskaras is just impressions, and these impressions may be of different degrees of depths. Some of the impressions or memories of our enjoyment or our fear in this material world may be very deep, like childhood traumas. Some of them may be very shallow. They are there, they will be gone very soon. This is samskaras. Samskaras is a problem, but it's not such a big problem. Vasana is a problem. Vasana is the cumulative samskara, which is accumulated over not even one lifetime. It's samskaras which are put, the similar samskaras, similar impressions, similar experience, material experience, samsara vasana. The experiences which we have in this material life, when they are repeated, not even over one lifetime, but over several lifetimes, they form very deep traits of our personality. And we came, and these traits of our personality are there, written in our chart, in our horoscope, according to the placement of different planets. An expert astrologer may say, what are these vasanas? These vasanas is the problem. It's very difficult to eradicate them. But Narottam Das Thakur says, at that moment when the service attitude will be established within my heart, and the mercy, the flow of mercy of my spiritual master will come, who is actually via media of the Lord. He is just the transparent media through whom the mercy of the Lord is coming to me. When this waterfall of mercy will come upon us, this waterfall of mercy will wash away all these vasanas. It's like Niagara Fall. How you call Niagara? Niagara? Whatever. Niagara, whatever. I'm from Russia. Please forgive me. I have thick Russian accent. So, and I hardly speak English, actually. Anyway. So, when this Niagara Fall of mercy will fall upon us, it will actually wash away these samskaras, these vasanas. There is no other way. There is no other way. That's too deep, and there should be very strong means, strong method against this to eradicate, to erase all these vasanas from this samsara. Therefore, he says samsara vasana. Samsara vasana means repeated impressions, like attachment to sex. We have been repeating this experience over too many lifetimes, and it's not easy to erase these things. And he says, samsara vasana mora kabe tucha habe. At that moment, they will become tucha. Tucha means insignificant. They may still be there, but they will not bother us. They will not really change our course. They will not really be a big impediment or hindrance in our path. but only if the mercy is there of Nitai Chand or his representative. So, and then, this is first we're speaking about some temporary experience. Then he says the real experience comes when you become serious. By knowing theoretically about Lord Chaitanya and establishing some relationship with him, you get some shadow of experience. But then if you want to make it more profound, then you have to establish a relationship with a spiritual master and serve him very, honestly, without any cheating propensity which is there within our heart. If we do this, then his mercy will come, and then the impediments will be washed away from our path. And then he says, Bishoya chadiya kabe shuda habeman. And then at that moment, this vishay, these attachments to the sense objects, our very strong aspirations to achieve something in this material world, they will be, our mind will be purified. Our mind, our man, will be purified, Shuddha, will become Shuddha from this Bishaya Chariya Kabe. Why? And that I will explain in some details. We know that we sometimes have some material desire. We always have some material desire. But, if we fulfill one desire, another desire comes, another desire comes, and there is no end to this. And these desires, somehow or other, will never be satisfied. Why? Because there is vasana underneath. And this vasana generates desires on the surface. It always produces. This is the root of different desires. So when the root is eradicated, then he said that my mind become very clear. My mind, when the root is completely, uprooted or taken away from the mind become clear and transparent. And he says, by this transparent mind, I will see real Vrindavan. This is the next stage of experience. I feel that my mind is very peaceful because all these material desires are not bothering me anymore. They are not really clouding my mind. Because yogis, they compare the mind with the water of a pond. And they say, deep down, on the bottom of this pond, there is a treasure. But because the water of this pond is so muddy, we don't see this treasure. We don't really experience that the treasure is there. Like Patri Prabhu said, there are 3 treasures of Lord Chaitanya. So the problem is that the waters are so muddy, therefore we cannot really recognize that the treasure is there. In the same way, when the waters of our mind are muddy, when the mind is always disturbed, why the waters of the pond become so muddy? Because they're always disturbed by certain external factors or internal factors, whatever is there. So he says, as soon as the causes for this disturbance are removed from my mind becomes very peaceful and calm and transparent. And when the mind becomes transparent, I see the treasure. What is the treasure? I see Vrindavan. I see real Vrindavan, which is present right here, by the way. Without any custom problems, Vrindavan is here. Because the spiritual world is unlimited. The spiritual world is not somewhere else. The spiritual world is not a place, it's not a geographical place where you have to go and you have to, the spiritual world is right here now. And Narottam Das Thakur, he says this amazing thing here. He says that as soon as my mind becomes clear, I will have real experience of Vrindavan. I will really see Vrindavan. Vrindavan means Krishna and his devotees. Vrindavan means we will see this beautiful loving exchange, which can only be seen by the clear mind. At one point when the mind is clear, and I will explain in the seminar when it happens and how it happens gradually, but at one point when the mind becomes clear, first the reflection of Krishna's form comes into mind. And then the reflection of Krishna's quality also comes to our mind. And then after reflection of Krishna's form and Krishna's quality comes to our mind, we will see the parikars, the associates of Krishna who are serving him. And we will feel a beautiful flavor of their love. To see Vrindavan doesn't mean to see even Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says that Krishna is never alone. You cannot really, even depict Krishna alone. He is always with his associates. To see Vrindavan means to see how the eternal associates of Krishna are serving Krishna and how Krishna is serving them. How Krishna is receiving their service and how Krishna is reciprocating with their service. And to see Vrindavan means to feel it. So again, at one stage of our spiritual development, this reflection must come to our mind. And this is the only stage of spiritual development when we really be able to do Raganuga sadhana, because Raganuga sadhana means very clear understanding how we can serve Krishna and his devotees and how his devotees are serving Krishna. So that we will speak a little bit during the seminar. And he says this very clearly. At one point this vision will come to you, but he is longing for this day. And he is telling us we should also be longing for this day. We should not be satisfied that we are, well situated in the U.S. and we have our pension guaranteed to us, or whatever is there. This will not really help you at the end of the day. So this experience, he's speaking the next when the mind becomes clear after we uproot the deeply rooted vasanas from the mind, then we will see real Vrindavan. It means that we will see how what the real service is. Rehearsing this service attitude towards our spiritual master, we will open the door to the real realm of service, to the real world of service, spiritual world which is based on mutual service of all the living entities. Not like this world which is based on envy and hatred towards each other. And then he says even more beautiful thing. He says that even this is not enough. At the end of the day, and Prabhupada is very emphatic while explaining this bhajan, he says that when this experience of spiritual Vrindavan will come to us, then the real desire to study books of Rupa and Raghunatha, of two greatest acharyas of our line. And of course, Rupa Raghunatha, it means Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, but primarily Rupa and Raghunath. Why primarily Rupa and Raghunath? Because it's in their teachings they explain the subtleties of the loving service to the Lord. And without real desire to understand this, we will never be able to enter into this realm of divine service. That's a very high stage, I understand. It may not be relevant to us now, we have our kids to raise and, I don't, but, I'm lucky, but everyone else does. Oh, at least many. But still, as I said, our aspiration should be there. This longing should be there. Yes, at one stage, this desire will become relevant to us, because at one stage we should develop this desire to understand the subtleties of these nuances, because otherwise we will come to spiritual world. What we will do there? How we will deal with Krishna and with his associates, being so gross? We will be like a elephant in China shop. And Krishna doesn't mean another elephant. He already killed Kuvalayapida, because the loving relationship are so sensitive, so fragile. Even in this world, we know it's so easy to offend somebody, especially when we're so close. When we come to a very close distance. And real Vrindavan means very close distance. Vaikuntha, no problem. To Vaikuntha you can go. You can have my blessings. No problem. There is no problem, because the distance is so huge. Between even the living entities, they are so formal. And therefore, we can go there. And therefore it is said everywhere that liberation is simple. Liberation you can achieve, no problem. If you want liberation, Krishna will give you liberation. Muktir dadati karhichit. He says sometimes he gives mukti. Mukti, he is not greedy to give mukti. But bhakti yoga he gives very rarely, sparingly. He gives in a very rare occasions, because it's so rare and so sensitive. And therefore, Narottam Das Thakur here says, when you have this beautiful vision of what real Vrindavan is, then the next step, next necessary step, is to study, to develop this very strong desire to study books of Rupa and Raghunath. And of course, I know that some people start studying these books of Rupa and Raghunath before that. That's another problem, which I will hopefully also mention in the. We shouldn't rush there, but we should not also. How to say this? Take it for granted or neglect it. We should clearly see this is my goal. At one point, I need to read Vilap Kushmanjali, and I need to understand what Raghunath Das Goswami means by writing this last poem of his. We should not artificially say that this is never for me. No, he says yes. At one certain point, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Hoi Beakuti Kabihama Bujavose Jugalapiriti. When this desire will appear in our heart, and we sincerely apply our heart in studying the books and writings of Rupa and Raghunath, then we will understand all these subtleties of Jugalapiriti, all these subtleties of love. And again, I will not speak about this, but I will speak not about this, but I will speak about, anyway, about it, or whatever, how you call it. Which is important, and at which stage of our development we really have to think about it, and how it comes, how gradually it comes, not artificially, but not again artificially delaying with this or postponing it. This I will do when I'm 85 years old and I'm mature enough and I don't have any lust in my heart. There is no need for this attitude either. And therefore he ends his prayer, Rupa Raghunatha Padera Humora Ash. My only goal is to come close to the lotus feet of Rupa and Raghunath. It basically means to come close to the feelings which they experienced. Sri Rupa Goswami was personally empowered by Lord Chaitanya, who invested his heart with all his feelings. He came here to bring these feelings to us, to share these feelings. But he also knew that, it's not so easy to get access to these feelings. Therefore, he invested these feelings in the heart of Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami made the feelings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accessible to us. This is why we are called Rupanugas. We are not called Chaitanya Nugas, because it's very difficult to follow Lord Chaitanya. He's so spontaneous and he's so mysterious. But Rupa Goswami specially was empowered and commissioned. His mission was to recognize what is going on in the heart of Lord Chaitanya and make this feeling accessible to us. And we will be greatest fools if we neglect this opportunity. Lord Chaitanya came. He made sure that the treasure which he came to give is accessible, and he made it sure through Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami wrote it. And Raghunath, why Narottam Das Thakur mentions Raghunath? Because every devotee at that time knew that the greatest was Rupa Goswami. He was worshipable to everyone. Everyone was amazed by genius of Rupa Goswami, because Rupa Goswami expressed in such a beautiful way all these feelings. Nobody else could do it. And everyone who would read, they were glorifying Srila Rupa Goswami. But the miracle happened. And this is the statement of contemporaries of Rupa and Raghunath. Every single devotee knew that the highest one is Rupa Goswami. But then all of a sudden, Raghunath became as high as Rupa Goswami. He practically achieved the same. And this is again the statements of their associates. Everyone was amazed how this boy, Raghu, who was not even from Brahminical background, who was from Kayastha family, from very rich sense enjoyers, how by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and by the training which he received from Rupa Goswami, practically became on the same level of Rupa Goswami. And therefore, Narottam Das Thakur says, and this is the standard phrase which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami uses. He ends every chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita by praying to Rupa and Raghunath, because the very fact of Raghunath's existence gives hope to us. You may say, Lord Chaitanya is very special. He is the Lord himself. Okay, who am I to experience this? You may say Rupa Goswami is very special because Lord Chaitanya personally invested his heart with all these feelings. Who am I? I will never do this. But here we have Raghunath, who was following Rupa Goswami. And we have so many other, of course, illustrious devotees who were following them. But the point which Narottam Das Thakur makes here is that it's possible, it's accessible. Try for it. Don't be lazy, because this is what Lord Chaitanya came to give, and don't neglect it, and the choice is yours. So if you go through this gradual path, which is beautifully depicted in this bhajan, first understanding, at least theoretically, what Lord Chaitanya gave, then applying yourself wholeheartedly to the service of your spiritual master and solving all the material problems which are there ingrained in our consciousness, and then clarifying the mind, and by clear mind seeing what is going on in spiritual world, and then studying the amazing books of Rupa and Raghunath, we will be able to achieve everything. And therefore, Narottam Das Thakur says at the end that my prarthana, my prayer always is this: I want to be at the feet of Rupa and Raghunath. I want to be at their feet, serving them and trying to follow them in a very humble way, and in this way achieve the goal of human life. So that's little introduction to what I'm going to say. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. When there is this silent pause, in Russian they say, at this moment a policeman must have been born. So, because you can only be so silent if some police is watching you. So please be yourself.